Few stars in Hollywood's golden age carried the weight of truth on screen like Spencer Tracy. Known for his natural, understated style, he wasn't just acting, he was living every role. From courtroom dramas to heartfelt romances, Tracy became a symbol of authenticity in film.
Before the people of the world, let it now be noted that here in our decision, this is what we stand for: justice, truth, and the value of a single human being.
But behind the acclaim lay a man torn between personal demons, complex relationships, and an unshakable bond with one legendary co-star. Before we dive into the fascinating life of Spencer Tracy, don't forget to subscribe to Sajjad Classic for more untold stories of Hollywood's greatest legends. Spencer Bonaventure. Tracy was born on April 5, 1900 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a city of hard-working families and modest beginnings. His father, John, earned a living as a truck salesman, while his mother, Caroline, anchored the household with strong Catholic faith. From the very start, Spencer's life was shaped by discipline, tradition, and expectation. Yet the young Tracy was never one to simply follow rules. He attended Jesuit schools where structure and obedience were emphasized, but instead of molding him into a model student, those environments sharpened his defiance. Teachers often described him as restless, sometimes disruptive, yet undeniably charismatic. He had the kind of presence that drew people in, whether he was leading classmates into mischief or standing up to authority. Despite his rebellious streak, Tracy was never without direction. What fascinated him most wasn't sports or academics, but stories. He devoured films at local theaters, mimicking characters and memorizing lines with uncanny accuracy. The magic of cinema planted itself deep within him, though at the time it was little more than a daydream for a boy from Milwaukee. It wasn't until his college years at Ripon College that this dream began to take shape. Initially enrolled without a clear plan, Tracy stumbled upon the debate team and small stage productions. There, he discovered something extraordinary. Not only did he have a commanding voice and presence, but he also had an instinct for embodying characters with truth. Audiences leaned in when he spoke. Fellow students marveled at how natural he seemed under pressure. What began as a campus hobby soon revealed itself as a calling. Still, life threw obstacles his way. Like many young men of his generation, Tracy enlisted in the Navy during World War I. Though he never saw combat, the experience left him uncertain of what to do next. Returning home, he felt adrift, caught between his working-class roots and a yearning for something greater. The turning point came when Tracy enrolled in the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. Here his raw instincts were refined into craft. He studied technique, learned discipline, and absorbed the foundations of stage performance. More importantly, he found a world where his restless energy finally had purpose. What once made him a rebellious student now made him a compelling actor, an artist in the making. This early period of struggle, defiance, and discovery would shape everything that followed, giving Spencer Tracy the depth and authenticity that audiences would one day see in every role he played. The 1920s were years of endless rehearsal, tight budgets, and small-town theaters for Spencer Tracy. He worked tirelessly in stock companies and repertory troupes, traveling from one stage to the next, learning his craft the hard way. Night after night, he delivered performances to half-filled houses, often for little pay, but every curtain call sharpened his instincts. The stage became his proving ground, a place where discipline, timing, and presence mattered far more than fame. By the decade's end, Tracy's persistence paid off. He began appearing on Broadway, where the competition was fierce and the spotlight far brighter. The turning point came with The Last Mile in 1930, a gritty prison drama. Tracy's role as a hardened inmate demanded raw intensity, and he delivered with such force that audiences and critics alike took notice. His performance wasn't just good, it was unforgettable, the kind that makes industry insiders lean forward and ask, "Who is this man?" Hollywood soon came calling. Fox Film Corporation offered Tracy a contract, opening the doors to the movie business. Yet, like many stage-trained actors, his first steps in front of the camera were far from smooth. Tracy was often handed roles that were routine, sometimes uninspired, and rarely worthy of his talent. Studios didn't quite know how to use him. He was typecast as policemen, gangsters, or secondary figures, solid, dependable, but not yet remarkable. Still, Tracy's naturalism couldn't be hidden for long. Even in films that failed to impress, he had a way of grounding every scene, giving honesty to even the weakest dialogue. Producers saw glimpses of what he could be, but the big break remained elusive. That changed in 1935 when Tracy signed with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. MGM was the powerhouse of Hollywood, and unlike Fox, the studio recognized the depth of his ability. Here, surrounded by top directors, strong scripts, and polished production values, Tracy finally had the chance to shine. No longer relegated to filler roles, he stepped into projects that allowed him to be what he truly was, one of the most gifted actors of his generation. Let's take our first glimpse into Tracy's screen journey with his debut in Up the River, 1930.
What's the matter, Steve? What's all the trouble? My pop and I came along here. We found this big lot up and he gave me an argument. He thinks everybody's scared of him.
Yeah,
everybody's scared of him around here, are they, big boy? You want to bother with them guys? It's a waste of breath. I know.
Up the River, 1930. Spencer Tracy's film career began in 1930 with Up the River, a prison comedy drama directed by John Ford. In the film, he played St. Louis, a wisecracking but oddly endearing convict who used charm and wit to navigate life behind bars. Unlike the usual toughened gangsters that filled Hollywood screens at the time, Tracy's character had a human quality that made him stand out. His delivery was relaxed, natural, and almost conversational, a style that contrasted sharply with the theatrical stiffness that many actors still carried over from the stage. Although Up the River itself wasn't considered a major production, the critics immediately noticed Tracy. The New York Times called his performance remarkably genuine, noting that he played his role with a refreshing lack of affectation. Variety highlighted him as the surprise discovery of the picture, while Film Daily suggested that Tracy's personality on screen had the potential to carry far stronger material in the future. Even Fox executives who signed him to a contract after the film admitted that Tracy seemed more like a seasoned performer than a first-time screen actor. The movie has an interesting footnote in history as well. It marked the debut of Humphrey Bogart, who played another prisoner opposite Tracy. Neither man was a star at the time, but audiences who later revisited the film often marveled at the coincidence of two future legends beginning their careers side by side. Working under the eye of John Ford also gave Tracy a valuable early mentor, though Ford would become more closely associated with Bogart in later years. For Tracy, Up the River may not have been a classic, but it was a vital first step. A film that revealed his authenticity, hinted at his range, and convinced Hollywood that here was a new kind of leading man in the making. Disorderly Conduct. After his debut, Tracy continued to search for the right kind of role that would showcase his versatility. In 1932, he appeared in Disorderly Conduct, a film that cast him as Dick Fay, a tough, cynical police officer whose life takes a turn when he crosses paths with a wealthy young woman. The role gave Tracy a chance to play with both grit and charm, moving between the hardened instincts of a streetwise cop and flashes of vulnerability that hinted at something deeper beneath the surface. For critics, Tracy's performance stood out even if the film itself was considered routine studio fare. Variety noted that he brought more weight and realism to the part than the script deserved, while the New York Times pointed out his ability to ground the story in credibility despite its melodramatic edges. Reviewers often emphasized that Tracy had a rare knack for making dialogue sound natural, something that was still uncommon in the early sound era. Though Disorderly Conduct wasn't a major milestone in his career, it was another brick in the foundation that Hollywood was beginning to notice. Tracy had a way of elevating otherwise ordinary material. Man's Castle.
There's supposed to be 12 million people in this country without work. Did you know that?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, and a lot of them are starving, so they tell me. I brought her in here and fixed her up. Feels swell now. Says the best food she ever ate. Yeah, the funny part of it is she ain't got a dime.
And neither have I.
So the feed's on you, brother. But the more bags that the state has to feed, the more taxes you guys have to pay.
This is your idea.
Now, wait a
of joke.
minute. This is one of the joints that throws out enough leftover grub in a week to feed 1,000 people. You can afford one on the house once in a while.
In 1933, Spencer Tracy took on one of his earliest truly memorable roles in Man's Castle, a Frank Borzage-directed drama that blended romance with social realism. Tracy played Bill, a restless drifter with a sharp tongue and a carefree outlook, who unexpectedly finds himself falling for a vulnerable young woman, played by Loretta Young. Set against the backdrop of the Great Depression, the film explored the struggles of ordinary people trying to survive, and Tracy's performance anchored it with an effortless balance of toughness and tenderness. Critics at the time saw Man's Castle as a showcase of Tracy's growing screen power. The Hollywood Reporter praised his gritty naturalism, noting how he could dominate a scene without ever seeming theatrical. The New York Times admired the way he conveyed both cynicism and compassion, calling his performance restrained yet compelling. Many reviewers felt that Tracy's chemistry with Loretta Young gave the film its heart, elevating what might have been a standard melodrama into something far more poignant. Loretta Young was only 20 during filming, yet her maturity on screen surprised many, and Tracy reportedly admired her professionalism despite their age gap. While the film didn't achieve huge commercial success, it left an impression on audiences and critics alike. It proved that Tracy wasn't just a reliable character actor or a rugged leading man in the making. He was capable of carrying a film with depth, emotion, and authenticity. Looking back, Man's Castle is often considered one of the hidden gems of Tracy's early career, marking a step closer to the legendary status he would later achieve. Looking for Trouble.
Hey, look, boss, I resigned, didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, I'm unresigned. I'm working for you again. I'm starting with this job. Come on, Case, get the tool.
Why, this is Joe, number 62, your boyfriend. Well, now, is this funny or is it funny? Well, my getting you on the phone this way. I had a day off and I came over to Long Beach for a little swim, and here I run smack into you.
Hello, operator. Hello, this is troubleshooter number 62. Get me Captain Flynn, Hall of Justice, Los Angeles. Captain Flynn, you gotta get through. This is a matter of life and death. Come on, hurry it up.
In 1934, Spencer Tracy appeared in Looking for Trouble, a crime drama that let him showcase a more rugged and streetwise side. He played Joe Graham, a telephone repairman who finds himself entangled in a web of crime, sabotage, and murder. The role allowed Tracy to step away from the romantic or sensitive characters of his earlier films and lean into a tougher, action-driven part. Joe was resourceful, witty, and unafraid to put himself in danger.
So we meet again. The Rover boys to the rescue. Tie 'em up, boys. Nice and tight.
A character who mirrored the kind of working-class authenticity Tracy excelled at portraying. Critics received his performance warmly, often highlighting that Tracy gave the film more heft than its formulaic crime thriller plot. Variety noted that Tracy's grip on realism made the character believable, while the New York Times pointed out that his natural delivery brought a sense of urgency to scenes that might have otherwise felt routine. The chemistry between Tracy and his co-star Jack Oakey also drew some positive attention, with reviewers praising their banter and camaraderie as a highlight of the picture. The Murder Man.
I'm not trying to suggest anything. I'm just trying to get a story for my paper.
I'll give you a story.
Now, wait a minute. Take it easy.
I'm innocent. Tell him I'm not a murderer.
No. You're talking to the wrong guy, Mander. You and Halford were the worst kind of killers. I know you didn't.
1935 marked an important step in Spencer Tracy's career with The Murder Man, his first film for MGM after leaving Fox. He played Steve Gray, a hard-nosed crime reporter with a sharp instinct for a scoop and a reputation for breaking big stories. At first glance, Steve seems like another quick-talking newspaperman in the mold of 1930s Hollywood, but Tracy gave the role a complexity that set it apart. Beneath the cynicism, his character harbors a deep personal conflict, which comes to the surface in the film's dramatic twist ending. Critics were quick to note that Tracy's performance elevated the film beyond its pulpy premise. The New York Times admired the believability and force he brought to the role, observing that Tracy managed to portray a man caught between professional duty and personal demons without resorting to melodrama.
Okay, I'll write you a story. I'll write you the greatest story your cheesy newspaper has ever printed. I'll give your million readers something to gloat over. Now get out of here and leave me alone.
Variety similarly praised him, calling him the standout of the picture. The Murder Man is remembered today not only for being Tracy's MGM debut, but also for marking the screen debut of a young James Stewart in a small supporting role. Fury.
Hey! Jailer! Jailer! Can't anybody hear me? Let me out!
I'm legally dead and they're legally murderers. That I'm alive is not their fault. But I know them. I know a lot of them. And they'll hang for it. According to the law which says if you kill somebody, you gotta be killed yourself.
In 1936, Spencer Tracy reached a new level of recognition with Fury, directed by the masterful Fritz Lang in his first American film. Tracy played Joe Wilson, an ordinary man wrongly accused of a crime, who becomes the target of a mob's blind rage. Nearly killed in a brutal lynching attempt, Joe survives but is consumed by bitterness and thoughts of revenge. The role was demanding, requiring Tracy to move from an easygoing romantic figure in the opening scenes to a man twisted by anger and betrayal, reflecting both the vulnerability and darkness within human nature. Critics hailed his performance as one of the finest of his career up to that point. The New York Times described Tracy as powerful and persuasive, praising how he captured Joe's transformation without losing the audience's sympathy. Variety noted that Tracy's restrained intensity gave the picture its edge, preventing the social commentary from feeling heavy-handed. Many reviewers pointed out that his ability to make Joe both victim and antagonist was rare for Hollywood at the time, and it elevated the film into something much more than just another courtroom drama. The film itself was groundbreaking in tackling the dangers of mob mentality and the failures of justice, and Tracy's performance was central to its impact. Audiences were struck by how raw and modern his acting felt compared to the more theatrical styles still common in the mid-1930s. As for trivia, Fury was Tracy's first major critical success at MGM and marked the beginning of his reputation as one of Hollywood's most serious dramatic actors. Captain's Courageous.
Yea, ho, little fish, don't cry, don't cry. Yea, ho, little fish, don't cry, don't cry. Yea, ho, little fish, don't cry, don't cry. Yea, ho, little fish, don't cry, don't cry.
In 1937, Spencer Tracy reached a career-defining milestone with Captain's Courageous, the film that earned him his first Academy Award for Best Actor. Directed by Victor Fleming, the picture told the story of a spoiled rich boy, Harvey Chaney Jr., played by Freddie Bartholomew, who falls overboard from a luxury liner and is rescued by a fishing schooner. Tracy took on the role of Manuel Fidelo, a kind-hearted Portuguese fisherman who becomes a surrogate father figure to the boy, teaching him humility, discipline, and compassion. The role was unlike anything Tracy had played before. With his heavy accent, rough-hewn warmth, and quiet strength, Manuel was a character who embodied humanity at its best.
Oh, Long Jack, what do you worry about? He admit the whole thing like regular grown fella. He say he's sorry, everything all right
Nothing's
now.
all right till I beat his ears off. Get out of my own. You touch that kid, I tear you apart, see?
Yeah?
Me, Manuel, talking, I tear you apart, see?
Tracy later admitted that he was nervous about adopting the Portuguese accent, fearing it might sound forced. But critics were unanimous in praising the sincerity he brought to the performance. The New York Times called him extraordinarily touching, noting how his portrayal of Manuel lifted the film to the level of art. Variety described his work as heartfelt and deeply human, pointing out that his chemistry with young Bartholomew gave the story its emotional center. Audiences were equally moved. Tracy's Manuel became one of the most beloved characters of the 1930s, embodying sacrifice and integrity in a way that resonated with Depression-era viewers. His death scene, quiet, poignant, and devastating, was singled out in nearly every review as one of the most powerful moments in Hollywood cinema up to that time.
I go now and fish with my bud. Remember, I tell you, he keeps Seago me in his boat.
What are you talking about? You're not going. He'll save you.
We have good times together, eh, little fish? We laugh, we sing, so you smile now. Come on, smile.
Behind the scenes, there were memorable bits of trivia. Tracy reportedly struggled with seasickness during the shoot, which was filmed partly on real fishing boats off the California coast. With captains courageous, Spencer Tracy secured his place among Hollywood's finest. The Oscar win was not just a triumph for this film, but a signal that Tracy had arrived at the peak of his craft. Boys Town.
Tony, there's a true story about a man who was very ill for a long time. But he had courage, he got well. People began to cheer him for a lot of things. And he became the President of the United States.
In 1938, Spencer Tracy delivered one of the most iconic performances of his career in Boys Town, a role that would win him his second consecutive Academy Award for Best Actor. Directed by Norman Taurog, the film was inspired by the real-life work of Father Edward J. Flanagan, a Catholic priest who founded a home for troubled and neglected boys in Omaha, Nebraska. Tracy stepped into the role of Father Flanagan with remarkable restraint, portraying him not as a saintly figure on a pedestal, but as a compassionate, pragmatic man who believed in the power of kindness and second chances. The story followed Father Flanagan's efforts to build Boys Town from the ground up, while struggling to keep it running against financial and social obstacles. Tracy's performance was central to the film's impact. His quiet conviction and gentle authority made Father Flanagan feel completely authentic. One of the film's most touching dynamics was his relationship with Whitey Marsh, played by a young Mickey Rooney, whose transformation from a rebellious delinquent to a responsible leader became the emotional core of the story.
There is no bad boy.
Critics across the board praised Tracy's performance. The New York Times wrote that he brought dignity, warmth, and humanity to the role, avoiding sentimentality while still capturing the spirit of Father Flanagan's mission. Variety hailed him as the very soul of the picture, noting how he commanded the screen without theatrics. Reviewers pointed out that Tracy's gift was his ability to make Father Flanagan both inspirational and believable, grounding the film's uplifting message in realism. As trivia, Tracy initially hesitated to take on the role, feeling uncomfortable about portraying a real priest. He feared that he might come across as insincere, but after meeting the actual Father Flanagan, he was moved by his humility and dedication. Tracy's respect for the man translated directly into his performance, which Flanagan himself later praised as truthful. Interestingly, after his Oscar win, Tracy publicly stated that the award really belonged to Father Flanagan for his life's work, not to him. Boys Town became a massive box office success and remains one of Tracy's most remembered films. His second Oscar win in just 2 years cemented his reputation as Hollywood's most natural and respected actor, a man whose performances carried both moral weight and emotional depth. Stanley and Livingstone.
But if Livingstone's alive, I'm going to find him. That's my assignment. And I've got my reasons for wanting to fulfill it. Dr. Livingstone, I presume.
Long in hope and doctrine, one in charity.
No, I'm afraid you're imagining things. I haven't changed. I'm still a reporter waiting for his next assignment.
In 1939, Spencer Tracy once again demonstrated his versatility with Stanley and Livingstone, a sweeping adventure drama that cast him as the famous journalist and explorer Henry M. Stanley. The film dramatized the legendary real-life story of Stanley's journey into the uncharted regions of Africa to track down the missing missionary doctor, David Livingstone, played by Sir Cedric Hardwicke. Tracy's Stanley began as a brash, skeptical reporter, driven more by the thrill of a good story than by any sense of higher purpose. But as the expedition deepened and the hardships mounted, his character gradually evolved, developing admiration and respect for the man he was sent to find. This transformation culminated in the film's famous line, "Dr. Livingstone, I presume," delivered by Tracy with quiet reverence rather than theatrical flourish, which critics praised for its restraint. Reception to Tracy's performance was strong. The New York Times observed that he played Stanley with vigor and sincerity.
Unfortunately, gentlemen, when you question my integrity, you nullify at the same time the discoveries of Dr. Livingstone, and you condemn a great man to oblivion. A great man whom this honorable gathering seems determined to wipe out with a vote. You armchair geographers who have never explored anything deeper than a plum pudding?
Noting that his grounded acting style gave credibility to a story that might otherwise have slipped into pure spectacle. Edison, the man in 1940,
A little string on my money, if you don't mind.
But I do mind. I'm an inventor. I can't be told what to do. I've got to do the things I want to do. I work with ideas, visionary things. Nobody, not even I, know how useful they're going to be or how profitable till I've had a chance to work them out in my own way. Wow. Looks as if this one is going to last.
Spencer Tracy stepped into the shoes of one of America's greatest inventors in Edison, The Man, a biographical drama directed by Clarence Brown. The film followed the rise of Thomas Edison, from his humble beginnings as a struggling inventor to his triumphs as the Wizard of Menlo Park. Tracy, who was just 40 at the time, was tasked with portraying Edison over several decades, capturing both his youthful ambition and his later years as a determined, world-changing genius. What made Tracy's performance so memorable was not an attempt to impersonate Edison, but rather his ability to embody the inventor's restless energy and single-minded drive. His Edison was portrayed as a man who faced countless failures and obstacles, but refused to abandon his vision. Tracy conveyed this through a combination of humor, warmth, and intensity, making the character feel human rather than mythic.
We've no guarantee that these theories of yours are workable.
Well, most electricity is theory yet.
That's the trouble. Beyond a point, what good is electricity anyway?
What good is a newborn baby?
One standout sequence involved Edison's tireless effort to perfect the electric light bulb. Tracy played it with a mix of frustration, exhaustion, and stubborn resolve that audiences found deeply moving. Critics praised Tracy for elevating what could have been a routine biopic. The New York Times called his performance sincere and engaging, remarking that Tracy made Edison feel like a man of flesh and blood rather than a distant historical figure. Woman of the Year.
Why I won't believe you? Because every time you've tried to duck an issue, you've made love to me. And I fell for it. Until in the office yesterday, you realized for the first time that I was wise to you. Now you're trying a new one. Now, why don't you drop the curtain on this act and let Miss Harding take her makeup off?
In 1942, Spencer Tracy starred in Woman of the Year, a romantic comedy directed by George Stevens that became one of the defining films of his career. More importantly, it marked the beginning of his legendary on-screen and off-screen partnership with Katharine Hepburn. The film tells the story of Tess Harding, played by Hepburn, a brilliant, career-driven political columnist, and Sam Craig, played by Tracy, a down-to-earth sports writer. Their worlds collide when they clash over the value of sports versus politics, leading to a witty rivalry that blossoms into romance. Tracy played Sam with an understated charm, his grounded, everyman presence perfectly balancing Hepburn's sharp, intellectual energy. As Sam Craig, Tracy wasn't just the romantic lead, he was the audience's anchor. Where Hepburn's Tess dazzled with sophistication, Tracy made Sam relatable with his humor, warmth, and quiet strength.
You don't speak English, do you, Charlie?
Yes.
And what's more, you're a pretty sully-looking little jerk sitting there with that towel wrapped around your head. You know that, don't you?
Yes.
That's all, brother.
Yes. Yes.
His ability to deliver sharp one-liners with natural ease gave the film its sparkling wit, while his sincerity in the more emotional moments gave it heart. Critics were enthusiastic about Tracy's performance. Reviewers noted that while Hepburn brought brilliance and sophistication, it was Tracy's naturalism and relaxed screen presence that made their chemistry believable. Variety praised him for his ease and authenticity, while the New York Times observed that his gentle humor and quiet authority provided the perfect foil to Hepburn's high-powered character. Their on-screen chemistry was so palpable that audiences immediately sensed something deeper, making their pairing iconic from the very start. State of the Union.
Stop it! Stop! What happened to you? What changed you? I thought you were going to stay honest.
From Grant Matthews' home.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Grant Matthews. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I can't take any more of this. Don't you shut me off. I'm paying for this broadcast.
Don't cut him off. Give him a chance. It'll cost me my job to make radio history. What's another
That speech you just heard Mrs. Matthews make, she doesn't believe a word of it. When she told you that I was a good husband and a man of courage and the rest of that tripe, the words were choking in her throat. A few minutes ago, she told me what she really thought of me. She called me a coward and said that I had sold out my ideals to a gang of corrupt politicians. And she was right. Then she was telling you the truth.
Stop him, somebody.
I've as much right to run for president as a gutter rat.
Cut him off. Cut him off.
In 1948, Spencer Tracy delivered one of his most commanding performances in Frank Capra's State of the Union, adapted from the Pulitzer Prize-winning play by Howard Lindsay and Russell Crouse. Tracy played Grant Matthews, a self-made businessman drawn into a presidential campaign, with Katharine Hepburn as his estranged wife, Mary. As Matthews, Tracy balanced charm, authority, and moral conflict, starting as an honest outsider but gradually becoming entangled in political compromises. He conveyed this erosion with subtle shifts in tone and hesitation.
And I'm going to tell them that there's only one government which is capable of handling the atomic control, world disarmament, world employment, world peace, and that's a world government.
While his scenes with Hepburn provided both humor and emotional depth. Critics praised his performance for its authenticity, with the New York Times noting his convincing blend of forthrightness and self-doubt, crediting Tracy with grounding the film's political message in humanity. Adam's Rib.
All I'm trying to say is that there are lots of things that a man can do, and in society's eyes, it's all hunky-dory. A woman does the same thing. The same, mind you, and she's an outcast.
Finished?
No. Now, I'm not blaming you personally, Adam, because this is so.
Oh, well, that's awfully large of you.
No, it's not your fault. All I'm saying is, why let this deplorable system seep into our courts of law where women are supposed to be equal?
Mostly, I think, females get advantage.
We don't want advantages. And we don't want prejudices.
Don't get excited, honey, and don't. Oh, you're giving me the Britain mole, right?
Well, what did she try to do? She tried to keep her home intact.
By knocking off her husband.
She didn't knock him off. He's alive. She didn't kill him.
She tried. She missed.
Well, all right. Now, supposing...
What do you want to do, give her another shot at him?
No, I don't.
In 1949, Spencer Tracy reunited with Katharine Hepburn in Adam's Rib, directed by George Cukor, a romantic comedy that would go down as one of the finest battle of the sexes films in Hollywood history. The story follows married lawyers Adam Bonner, Tracy, and Amanda Bonner, Hepburn, who find themselves on opposite sides of a courtroom case when a woman is tried for shooting her cheating husband. What begins as a legal battle quickly spills over into their marriage, blending sharp comedy with pointed commentary on gender equality. Tracy's portrayal of Adam Bonner was one of his most nuanced comedic performances. On the surface, he played the straight man to Hepburn's fiery wit, but beneath that, he gave Adam layers of insecurity, pride, and tenderness. His timing in the courtroom scenes was impeccable, calm, deliberate, and quietly humorous, serving as a perfect foil to Hepburn's passionate arguments. At the same time, Tracy infused Adam with an everyman quality. His frustrations and vulnerabilities in the domestic quarrels at home made the character deeply relatable.
The molehill, a hill of beans.
Excuse me.
Yes?
May I say just one thing?
Of course.
Save your eloquence for the jury. Answer me one question, will you? What is marriage? Tell me that.
You tell me.
All right, I will tell you. It's a contract. It's the law. Are you going to outsmart that the way you've outsmarted all other laws? That's clever.
Even as the comedy heightened the absurdity of their marital rivalry. The chemistry between Tracy and Hepburn reached new heights in this film. Critics hailed Adam's Rib as one of the best comedies of the year, with Tracy earning particular praise for the way he grounded the humor. Variety applauded his superb restraint and effortless timing.
I always used to think that marriages were simple affairs. Boy meets girl, fall in love, they get married, have babies. Eventually the babies grow up and meet other babies. And they fall in love, get married, and have babies, so on.
Father of the Bride. In 1950, Spencer Tracy gave one of his most beloved performances in Father of the Bride, directed by Vincente Minnelli. In this warm comedy, he played Stanley T. Banks, a middle-class father whose life is turned upside down when his daughter announces her engagement. The film follows his humorous and heartfelt journey as he grapples with the chaos, expense, and emotional turmoil of planning a wedding. Tracy's role as Stanley was a masterclass in understated comedy. Rather than playing for big laughs, he relied on subtle expressions, wry delivery, and quiet exasperation to capture the universal anxieties of a father watching his little girl grow up. His ability to shift seamlessly between humor and poignancy gave the film its heart. Viewers could laugh at his bewilderment over ballooning guest lists and tuxedo fittings, while also feeling the deep tenderness behind his frustrations. Critics widely praised Tracy for carrying the film with warmth and authenticity. Variety noted how he anchors the comedy with a sincerity that makes the laughter ring true. The film was both a commercial and critical success, earning Academy Award nominations for Best Picture, Best Actor for Tracy, and Best Screenplay. It resonated with audiences across generations, and Tracy's portrayal of Stanley Banks became iconic, cementing his reputation as Hollywood's quintessential everyman.
I suppose 4 years from now you'll be sitting around here telling people you haven't forgotten me either. That's real progress. In the meantime, I'll be as dead as a... Why don't you tell me what happened?
Bad Day at Black Rock. In 1955, Spencer Tracy delivered one of his most riveting performances in Bad Day at Black Rock, directed by John Sturges. This taut, suspenseful drama cast Tracy in a role unlike much of his earlier work. John J. McCready, a quiet, one-armed stranger who arrives in a remote desert town looking for a Japanese-American man named Komoko. His presence disrupts the town's uneasy silence, and it quickly becomes clear that the residents are hiding a dark and violent secret. Tracy's McCready was a study in restraint, calm voice, measured movements, and steady gaze giving him both vulnerability and quiet strength. Though physically limited, he projected an inner toughness that outmatched the town's hostility, turning silence and stillness into his greatest weapons. The New York Times hailed it as a model of controlled intensity, while Variety praised Tracy for bringing moral authority and quiet heroism to the part. The film was both a critical and commercial success. Tracy earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor, one of the 9 he would receive in his career. Bad Day at Black Rock has since been hailed as a classic of American cinema, with Tracy's performance often singled out as one of the finest examples of understated power in film acting. It's a mad, 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 mad world. In 1963's It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, Spencer Tracy played Captain T.G. Culpepper, a calm police officer trying to restore order amid a chaotic treasure hunt. His grounded presence and understated reactions provided a steady counterpoint to the film's frenetic comedy. Critics praised Tracy for anchoring the mayhem with dignity and wit, NY Times, showing that even in farce, his subtle timing could shine.
Because in the final analysis, it doesn't matter a damn what we think. The only thing that matters is what they feel and how much they feel for each other. And if it's half of what we felt, that's everything.
Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? In 1967, Spencer Tracy gave one of the most poignant and enduring performances of his career in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, directed by Stanley Kramer. The film tackled the then controversial subject of interracial marriage, telling the story of a young couple, Joey Drayton, Katharine Hepburn, and Dr. John Prentice, Sidney Poitier, who wish to marry, and the challenges they face as Joey brings John home to meet her liberal progressive parents. Tracy played Matt Drayton, Joey's father, a wealthy and well-respected newspaper publisher whose calm reason and deep moral integrity become central to the film's emotional impact. Tracy's portrayal of Matt Drayton was both warm and wise, showing a father who loved his daughter while grappling with societal norms and personal biases. He conveyed Matt's internal struggle with subtle expressions and measured dialogue, avoiding melodrama and making the character relatable and inspiring. Critics praised his performance. The New York Times called it rich in dignity and restraint, while Variety highlighted his natural warmth and quiet intensity. His chemistry with Katharine Hepburn provided the film's emotional and moral center, elevating the story into a compelling family drama. A remarkable aspect of this performance was its timing. Tracy was seriously ill during filming, suffering from advanced heart disease, yet he delivered a performance of astonishing focus and clarity. In fact, he passed away just 17 days after completing filming, making this his final screen appearance. Many critics and audiences have since regarded it as a fitting and powerful conclusion to a legendary career. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner was both a critical and commercial success, earning multiple Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, Best Actor, Tracy posthumously, and Best Actress, Hepburn. Tracy's role remains iconic, not only for its emotional depth and moral weight, but also as a testament to his lifelong dedication to authenticity and humanity on screen. Before we move on to Spencer Tracy's personal life, consider supporting our channel through Super Thanks. It really helps us keep bringing you more classic Hollywood stories. Spencer Tracy married actress Louise Treadwell in 1923. Together they had 2 children, including John, who was born deaf. This deeply affected Tracy and shaped his lifelong support for causes helping the hearing impaired. Despite their bond, Tracy's marriage was troubled. His alcoholism and long absences strained their relationship, and although they never divorced, they lived largely apart. The most enduring aspect of his personal life, however, was his relationship with Katharine Hepburn. Their partnership lasted over 25 years, both on screen and off, though they never married. Out of respect for his Catholic faith and his wife, Tracy remained officially married to Louise. Hepburn often described herself as devoted to him, even putting her career on hold to care for Tracy in his final years. Tracy's demons were well known. He battled alcoholism throughout his life, which sometimes derailed productions and affected his health. Yet his talent was so undeniable that studios and directors repeatedly made allowances for him. Spencer Tracy was more than just an actor. He was a benchmark. His naturalistic style paved the way for later generations of actors like Marlon Brando and Dustin Hoffman. He proved that subtlety could be more powerful than theatrics, influencing an entire era of screen performance. He was nominated for 9 Academy Awards, winning 2, and became the first actor to receive consecutive Oscars. His collaborations with Katharine Hepburn, spanning 9 films, remain legendary and symbolize one of the greatest screen duos in Hollywood history. Even critics who saw thousands of performances agreed Tracy never gave a false moment on screen. By the mid-1960s, Tracy's health had sharply declined due to years of heavy drinking and smoking. During the filming of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, he was already gravely ill. Just 17 days after completing his final scene, on June 10, 1967, Spencer Tracy died of a heart attack at the age of 67. Katharine Hepburn was at his side. Spencer Tracy's life was a complex portrait of brilliance and struggle. On screen, he embodied honesty and humanity. Off-screen, he wrestled with inner conflicts. Yet his legacy remains untouched, a reminder that true acting lies not in performance but in truth.